Hello, and welcome to the first video tutorial for the Laguna laser cutter. Today, I'll be showing you the basics. So there are a few things you must be familiar with before getting started, and we'll address these things right now. First is the location of the laser cutter. The laser cutter is located at the Innovation Orchard at Ganesha High School. It can be found in the machine room, and if you look at the picture to the right, this is what the laser cutter looks like. And also in this room, you'll find a computer to use to operate the laser cutter. And you'll also see a materials list, which shows you what materials you can and cannot laser cut. All right, so next is the software RDWorks. This is the software you'll need to become familiar with to operate the laser cutter. You are able to download this software for free onto your own personal computer. However, the computer located in the laser cutter room already has the software installed and ready to go. So moving on, let's talk about file types. So these are the most common file types that you'll be working with. These files include Adobe Illustrator files, or also known as .ai files. You can also use .svgs files. And you can also use .png and .jpeg files, which you may already be familiar with those file types. So one thing to bear in mind, if you wish to operate the cutting function on the laser cutter, going with vector Adobe Illustrator files will be your best bet. All right, so moving on, you must become familiar with the 8mm stick. So the 8mm stick is what you'll basically use in the setup process for the laser cutter, and you will eventually learn the setup process in a later video. And pretty much this is how you will adjust the laser cutter with the material that you're planning on laser cutting. So please do not lose the 8mm stick. So let's talk about the actual physical controls that are located on the laser cutter itself. Of course, as you can see, there's the power button, which will turn the machine on and off. And if you look at the arrow keys, these keys basically control the laser nozzle, and they can move the laser nozzle backwards, forwards, side to side. You get it. And this is basically helpful when you're trying to line up the laser cutter nozzle with the area you wish to laser cut or etch. So you'll probably be using these quite a bit. Next, there's the start/pause button. And this is basically used when you need to pause the laser cutter when it's doing a job. And you can use the same button to resume the laser cutting process if you do need to pause it for whatever reason. All right, next, let's talk material types. This is basically what you can cut on the laser cutter, so we can observe the kind of plastics that you can cut, such as acrylic, PETG, etc. The types of wood, so hardwood, MDF are included here. The stone and ceramic materials such as granite and glass, and lastly, fabrics and fibers. So this would include leather, polyester, and the other list of materials. And it's also important to bear in mind what you cannot laser cut. So these would include PVC, anything that's a food item, ABS, epoxy, because they emit a poisonous gas. And then there's other materials such as HDPE, also known as milk bottle plastic, which can be a fire hazard. Now, keep in mind, you don't have to have these memorized. All these items are going to be listed in the laser cutter room itself, so you can always look at the list and use this as a reference. All right, so thank you for coming to the first segment